All right, Steve here. We've talked stocks, we've talked options, but today we are heading straight into the engine room of the financial world. We're talking about professional futures trading. This is where you see how the big money really moves. Let's get right into it. Make no mistake, futures are a completely different ballgame. This isn't about your classic buy and hold strategy, not even close. This is all about precision, it's about timing, and it's about understanding the raw mechanics of how the market breathes moment by moment. This is the main playground for hedge funds, for the huge institutions. It's how they manage massive risk and make big bets on where the entire market is headed. The scale is just immense, the pace is relentless, and that's exactly why you absolutely have to know the fundamentals cold.
So let's start with the most basic question. What is a futures contract? When you buy a stock, you own a tiny slice of a company. Simple. But with futures, you don't own a single share of anything. You own an agreement. You own control.
Think of it like this. You're locking in a price today for something that's going to happen down the road. You're not betting on just one company. You're making a bet on the future direction of an entire index, like the S&P 500.
And here is where things get really, really serious. With just one standard E-mini S&P 500 contract, that's ticker symbol /ES, you are controlling somewhere around $300,000 worth of the S&P 500 index. That is a massive amount of leverage, and with it comes massive responsibility. Okay, so with that much money on the line, how do you actually make or lose it? Well, it all boils down to three little words: points, ticks, and dollars. Let's break down exactly how this works. This is the first number you need to burn into your brain: $50. For every single full point the S&P 500 moves, up or down, the value of your ES contract changes by $50. So, if the S&P climbs 10 points, boom, you're up $500. It's that simple. But here's the thing. The market doesn't just jump around in full points. It moves in these tiny little steps, and the smallest possible step for the S&P futures is called a tick. A tick is just a quarter of a point. So if you do the quick math, if a whole point is worth $50 and a tick is just a quarter of that point, then each tick is worth $12.50. This is the pulse of the market. Every single price change is a multiple of this number. And you can see it all laid out right here. It's so simple. 4 ticks at $12.50 a pop gets you to one full $50 point. Getting this simple relationship down is non-negotiable. It is the basic language of futures trading.
Now, once you understand the math, we have to talk strategy. A beginner jumping into a standard E-mini contract? Well, that's like a 16-year-old with a learner's permit trying to drive a Formula One car. It's not going to end well. There's a much, much smarter way to start. Okay, let's look at the tail of the tape. On the top, you have the E-mini /ES. Below it, the micro E-mini /MS. Now look across. The contract size for the ES is $50 times the index. The micro, just $5. The tick value, $12.50 for the big one and just $1.25 for the micro. And check out the margin, the cash you need to hold the position. It's all a perfect ratio. The micro is exactly 1/10 the size, 1/10 the cost, and 1/10 the risk of the E-mini. So if you walk away with one thing today, let it be this. With the micro, every single tick is just $1.25. The chart looks identical. The price moves are exactly the same, but the financial hit to your account is slashed by 90%.
This is the professional advice. I'm telling you, start with the mess. It lets you get your feet wet. You can learn the feel, the rhythm, the speed of the live market. You can make mistakes, and you will make mistakes, but you can do it without blowing up your account. All right, finally, we got to talk about the risks. Because the very things that make futures so incredibly powerful are also what make them incredibly dangerous. You have to know what you're up against. First, the clock. The futures market doesn't punch out at 4 p.m. in New York. No way. It runs almost 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. It opens Sunday evening and doesn't stop till Friday afternoon. That means some news event at 3 a.m. in Asia can send the market flying while you are sound asleep. The board is always live. And that brings us right back to leverage. It's a double-edged sword, and man, is it sharp. With just a few $1,000s in your account, you're controlling a position worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's what juices your gains, but it will amplify your losses just as fast, if not faster. Look, at the end of the day, futures give you incredible power. It's like sitting behind the wheel of a top-fueled dragster. You've got an insane amount of horsepower at your fingertips. But learning the math is one thing. The real question is, can you actually handle the throttle?